Hello, 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 hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I wanted to chat with you guys a little bit about what I read on vacation last week. I ended up going to visit one of my friends across the country, and she had a baby last year. And I was able to go there last year in the fall to be able to see her and spend time with her. And it was just an absolutely incredible experience while the baby was being born. And she ended up having a little girl who's probably watching this video. Hi, Sprout and Addie. But I wanted to chat because I usually go a few times a year across the country to visit them. And while I'm on the flight, it's about a 3.5 to 4 hour flight there and back. I usually get some critical reading done. So I wanted to chat with you guys about what I was able to read last week and a little bit about each of the books so that we can take you along with the journey. So let's go. All right, so for the first book, I'm currently reading the Prime Mating Agency series. I think I'm on book 8 or 9 at this point now by Regine Abel, and this series is absolutely fantastic. So if you're looking for kind of soulmates, fated mates in some case, or just like chosen mates. And the series is all following these women who are looking for partners. And it could be for various reasons. Some of the couples range from they're wanting to meet their true love all the way to if they are experiencing some hardships at home and they want to kind of get away from it. So it's all about how they're meeting different partners. And of course, they all fall in love and they all have these happy ever afters and they're all married to aliens. And it's just a really great alien romance vibe. And the series is absolutely awesome. So I finished book number 6 while I was on the plane. So that's I Married a Dragon. And it's basically follows this woman who is an enforcer working for the UPO, which is kind of this planetary organization that kind of regulates galaxy, etc. And while she's an enforcer, she ends up seeing this creature basically who was kind of captured and sitting there during one of her raids. So basically, during one of her raids, she finds out that this dragon who spotted her from first sight says she's the only woman basically who's able to save him and comfort him because he's this really important dragon who ends up opening portals, and there's only one fated mate kind of for him in the entire world. So they end up spending some time together, and it's really great. She has to move in on his planet and learns all about his culture and what it means to be, this big, powerful creature who only a few of them in the world can open portals to different areas and different galaxies and what that means. So she has to not only know that now we're going into this brand new world, but we're also having to comfort this guy and be his soulmate. And he's head over heels for her, and she needs some kind of coming around to it. So yeah, I finished that one on the plane, book number 6. I think I rated it 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great. He is so soft and cuddly and sweet, and I was just addicted to him and seeing what he was all about. So really, really great one. And then I continued on to the second book. They're only about like less than 300 pages in length, so it was pretty easy to knock out a couple of them. But I also looked at the second book, which is I Married a Beast, number 7 in the series. And that follows this girl who is looking for an alien. Like she is ready to find her soulmate and look for this alien creature. And she wants the most beastly, kind of not conventionally gorgeous by regular human standards, but this like really alien looking guy. And they end up matching her with this guy who is very gruff, very not used to her type of humor, not understanding why she even likes him because he's pretty gruffy and he kind of takes no shit, and he's awesome. But he's only soft for her kind of vibe. So yeah, it ends up being that she's the one that falls head over heels first, and he has some coming around to do and what that means. So you also see his character in some of the previous books. So it's kind of nice that we got to revisit some of the other relationships that were to do with his side of the story. So yeah, really, really love those 2 books. Again, shorter in length. And the series has been awesome, and I've continued on. I think I'm reading the next one right now, which is The Dryad. And that one has been really great so far too. Very different. I like the stories that even though they're all in the series, you can read them in any order that you want, and they're also not the same thing on repeat. Some of the alien series that you read or some of the paranormal romance series that you read, they're basically the same thing, but over and over again, just slightly bit different. This series is the couples are completely different. And the stories, although they are, the premise is the same, they're matched together on this, mating agency. They are supposed to be soulmates. They both maybe take some time to come around. The stories itself and the characters themselves are so distinctly different that I find I'm not I'm not forcing myself to read the next one. It's very much a very natural progression into more characters. So I read those two on the plane, and it was absolutely awesome. While I was actually down there, I didn't get a ton of reading done. I mostly spent time with my friend and the baby, and we had some great dates, and we had some awesome time together, and really just soaked it up. Because again, I only get to go a couple times a year, so I really like to devote some of my time. But when the baby went to sleep, I got some reading time done just before bed. So I also started this novella, Raising Hell. It's a short novella, but I found it to be a little bit longer than most novellas. Usually I would put a novella somewhere like around 150 pages. I wouldn't put it more than that. That to me kind of signals then like a shorter story after that. This one was about 190 pages. I think I finished about 75% of it before I just kind of got done with the story. It wasn't a bad story in any way. It just didn't captivate me through the whole thing. This story basically follows this man who inherits his grandma's home after she passes away, and he finds the spell book inside the home, and he uses it by accident to summon a demon. And then that demon then summons another demon using the same spell book, and it's a whole thing like an MMM novel that basically follows the three of them now, and what are they doing having demons in the house, and this person is trying to basically get his life together after his grandma passed away, and he's got some job issues and some financial issues, and trying to figure out kind of what that all means. So I thought it was pretty funny. Like there was definitely some areas that, a demon being summoned into the human world and what that looks like. He was very fascinated. There was a lot of like witty banter. There was a lot of spicy scenes that were great. I just found that like 75% in, you could tell like the demons never wanted to leave, that they definitely thought that they were something there between the guy from Earth and kind of, this person that has conjured them. Guy was kind of like apprehensive about the whole thing. And you know how it's going to end. You know how it's going to be that like he's going to end up coming around and there's going to be a happily ever after. I didn't really see any kind of big mystery on what the story was going to be. So I just basically finished it at 75%. I think I rated it 3 stars. It was kind of predictable. It got me out of, a little bit of a back-to-back alien romance vibe. It got me out of that, and it allowed me to really like experience something else. But again, it wasn't anything like super memorable that I was like, oh my God, I really need to have like a physical copy of this on my shelf or anything like that. So I kind of just stopped it at that point and said, you know what, I think we're done with this. I got what I wanted out of the story, and it was good, but not really enough to capture my attention. So yeah. And then the next one that I ended up reading is Viper, and this was recommended to me by someone on my Bookstagram channel, and it was basically following this creature that ends up being on this planet, and there are a bunch of humans that came down onto Earth. Earth is now this wasteland that was taken over by another alien race, and they had all moved off the planet, and there wasn't really anything there. So these humans came back on many, many years later to kind of see what the planet was like and what it entailed. And I found that they ended up finding that these creatures were still there, and they were now the natives. They're not supposed to be anything left there, but it turns out there is. So these creatures spotted these human females, and they decided that they wanted to trade for them in exchange for some alien tech. And it ended up being this like big battle to kind of get who's going to get these two females out of all of these different, nagas, I guess, and alien creatures that are looking for brides, for human brides. And this guy spots this redhead, and he is immediately infatuated with her and wants to be able to take her for himself. He battles for her. He ends up getting her. And now she's got to get along with the picture because it is way past the point of her being able to say anything about it. So yeah, I thought the book was good. The only thing that I kind of gave me a little bit of like hesitancy towards it was just the fact that this guy was very much convinced that she was going to be his, and there was really no rebuttal about it. There was really no negotiations about it. Usually, like in some of the alien novels, you see that they like soften a little bit for them. They try to understand that like human customs are a little bit different than alien customs. And you kind of get like a vibe of, like he's a bit softer for her, right? I didn't really get that much in this novel. It's not a bad thing by any means. I still really like the story. I think I rated it 4 stars. And I definitely want to continue reading the series because I think the overarching plot of like what happened on Earth and what was happening during this time is really going to be an interesting plot point. And of course, there's way more of these aliens that didn't get mates before. So I would love to see kind of how it ends up that they may get their own mates and what that looks like. And, he is in his own endearing way very good to her. I think it's just a matter of like the cultures are very different and he's not really taking the time to learn them. So yeah, I enjoyed the story. Definitely going to continue it. It was a great recommendation from one of my followers. And I love chatting with books with them. 99% of the time, I will take a recommendation as long as it fits, the romance category. I'm happy to take a look at any kind of books and take your recommendations and then come back for a later review on them. So yeah, really enjoyed that one. And I will be continuing that series as well. And then the last book that I read on the plane home was Whatever It Takes. That one is an arc that I have by Gillian West. I'm on her arc team, and I love her stories. This one was a contemporary Omegaverse, and it's basically an MFMMM. So this Omega has 3 alphas that she ends up being in a relationship with, but she's basically on the run, and she's a long lost, I guess, mafia daughter who has escaped her family and escaped a potential marriage, and she ends up getting involved with these 3 guys that she ran to for security. They run a security company. And I thought the story was awesome. I think she came from a really vulnerable spot. The whole Omegaverse is always a vibe that I'm interested in. I love Omegaverses. And I always eat them up. I think the dynamic is so cool, and a contemporary Omegaverse is always great. And Easton, one of the guys, is very like gruff. He's super unhinged. They have a lot of like different experience in security and what that means. And he's kind of like the guy that gets it done and calls the shots. And then of course you also have Calder, who's a little bit of a softie. He's more of a tech nerd. He does more of the hacking and the IT piece. And then you have the last alpha, who's basically this gruff teddy bear who loves to cuddle and all of this stuff. So he's, he teaches her how to shoot, but he's also, looking out for her, and he'll deal with a snuggle any day. So I really thought their dynamic was super cute. I thought that the way that they interacted with each other was awesome. I would definitely read more books, of course, by Gillian West. She's always a hit for me. I love being a part of her team. And Whatever It Takes, I think I rated it 5 stars. Easy arc read for me. That was fantastic. One last book that I forgot to mention that I'm currently reading. I didn't finish it. I got to like 90%, which is really annoying because I love to finish the books that I start like that. So I do end up having to read the last little bit of it. Is the second Crimson Moth, which is Rebel Witch. It's not quite out yet, but I've really been enjoying the story. I'm not going to spoil anything, but where we left off in the last book, it picks right up. The banter is great. The interactions have been great. I'm intrigued by the story. I think that the world building and the culture and the narrative that the authors created has been awesome. I really love the Crimson Moth. I gave it 5 stars. It's been a credible journey through the next one. So I'm really looking forward to being able to finish that one up. And hopefully when you guys read it as well when it comes out, that you'll love it just as much as the first one as well. So if you haven't read the Crimson Moth, now's the perfect time to do it before the second one comes out. So yeah. Those are the books that I was able to read while I was on vacation. I do read semi-fast, so working through some of those books has been a lot of fun. I make sure my Kindle is all stacked and ready to go. Let me know what else you guys want to be able to see. I could give you a list of all the arcs that I have coming up, anticipated reads, what I'm reading through in the week, and reading vlogs, any of that kind of content. So yeah, great to spend time with you guys, and thanks for the visit. Bye!